Greetings. Good morning. How are y'all doing? Happy Saturday. Today is the day that Saturn rules, and Saturn is currently in Pisces at the 12th degree. But I'm coming in to talk about Mercury retrograde because this Mercury retrograde season is a profound opportunity for us to do some deep reprogramming around our belief in ourselves, like who we know ourselves to be. And this is the most powerful thing that you have is you. And it's a very tenuous time that we're living in because reality is changing, but we're not having like group conversations about it. It's not on the news. It's reality is really shifting from the dark ages and into the golden age. And while the golden age is going to be something that's really experienced in a different way than what we've been enduring for the last thousands of years, getting from one to the other is not a small task. Getting from the dark ages into the golden age is not a small task because it has to happen in your own consciousness. It has to happen in your own awareness of who you are and how you relate to this reality, the role you play. And so what I have discovered is that retrogrades are a really great way to play the game and play the game well and get out of old patterns and ways of being and step into new ways of being. It's like a tunnel of where you can really get out of a way that you used to be and into a new way, and then begin to have a new experience of yourself and reality. We have 3 retrogrades a year from Mercury. All the planets go retrograde, but Mercury is the one that governs our mind. This is a mental reality. Everything here is mind. And because everything is mind, when we have Mercury retrograde, it's a really important one. If you can learn to follow all the retrogrades, that would be great. But if you can only... I'm sorry, I made some cacao this morning. It's so good. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay. But if you can only access one, the one to access is Mercury, because Mercury governs the mind, and this is a mental reality. So today, Mercury is at the 20th degree of Sagittarius. It started going backwards from 22 degrees. So it's going to go from like 22 degrees to like, it takes 3 weeks, and I think it'll go to like 6 degrees or something like that. I don't have that information right now. But every degree is an opportunity to access a new power point within you. A few videos ago, I was talking about how this is a hologram, meaning that everything in your world is a projection out of your subconscious. And it's a fucking fantastic game because it feels real. It feels like you are the player and you're in your body and you're in the game. So I don't want to get that. I feel like I'm convoluting it right now. So what do I want to say? I want to say that Mercury is at the 20th degree of Sagittarius. The 20th degree is a degree that is ruled by Pluto and Scorpio. So this energy at the 20th degree is about transformation. So pay attention to what's going on in your life today. Pay attention to your experiences. Maybe there's some shadow coming up, some things that feel that will make you feel powerless, some things that would make you feel dark. And here's the thing, we judge nothing. I love this new TikTok thing. We listen and we don't judge, because it has to be that way. It has to be that you don't judge yourself. You listen to yourself and you don't judge. Like I have had, because I'm somebody who's very mercurial, I can hear when people are lying. I can feel when people are lying, even if it's not a lie, like it's intentional. Maybe they are just not even aware of it. I can hear it and I can smell it. And so I used to have this thing that would show up in my mind whenever people were talking and it was bullshit. I would have a vision of me crapping in their mouth. It's ridiculous. Like, I would be like, why is that? And I finally was like, that's because they're lying and you can tell that they're full of shit. And so I would get this weird image, but I had to not judge it in order to understand what it was. It was my psyche giving me the understanding that this person was lying. Not that they are a lie, but that they didn't really know themselves, that they weren't really connected to what was going on, that they were out of their bodies. Like, I was given an image that felt really weird. Like, a lot of my imagery happens around poop. It's a very interesting thing. I have a friend who's a dream communicator, and he said that poop represents your own creativity, the creativity, because your poop is your creation. So once I started to understand the symbolism of stuff, I stopped judging it so much. And so me having an image of me pooping on somebody, I mean, it's just like, but I realized like, oh, I'm giving them my own creativity. I'm giving them wisdom, because I had to take the judgments off of it. So don't judge your feelings. Don't judge what you see. Don't judge anything. Don't judge your imagination, because everything is symbolism. And we live in a world that's so toxic and dark and shadowy that sometimes those are the things that we need to relate to, because that's the world that we're in. And it's just how it is, you know. So, and many of us haven't done a lot of shadow work. So if you haven't done your shadow work, then the images that you'll get and the intuitions that you'll get will be deeply shadowy. So that's all I can really say. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So today is a day of deep transformation. That can be around sexual things. Transformation stuff is about sex. It's about money. It's about power. These are the things that we're often not talking about out loud. These are the things that we really assign outside of ourselves. A few days ago, I made a video talking about Roe versus Wade and how it's really obsolete, because women can learn herbs and learn to talk to their bodies and learn to really be deeply loving with themselves and regulate their reproduction from that and the moon. And how I had given myself an abortion with neem oil within a few days of having had intercourse. And the comments on YouTube are very much about like, where women are dying already. And because a lot of times people just don't want to take responsibility. They rather have something external change than them do the work to become the empowerment of their own. It's, you know, we live in a culture that says, I need someone else to change in order for me to be happy or safe. And that's just not the way of it. That's misinformation. It's not how this reality works. And as we move out of the dark ages and into a golden age, we must become more responsible for ourselves. We must become fully responsible for ourselves. And a lot of that responsibility is understanding your way of functioning, how you are meant to function, your relationship to your body, your ancestry, right? Understanding where you come from so that you can then know how you're meant to function and move through the world. And so these are conversations around transformation, deeply transformative conversations, practices, ways of being that lead you to having the dominance over your own self, your own body, your own mind, your own spirit, like really understanding that you are that you are the very thing. And so with Mercury retrograde at the 20th degree in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is about faith and philosophy and trust and truth. So is there anything today that is getting your attention, that is that you need to understand the truth about? And it doesn't have to be hard, right? Because Sagittarius is in a different place in everyone's chart. So for me, Sagittarius is squaring my sun. So the truths I'm learning are about myself. And what I'm learning are things like, oh, my mind is the dominant force here. If I think it, it's coming. And I'm seeing that, you know, if I'm in doubt about something, the thing I'm doubting, I'm going to experience it that way. If I'm in fear about something, the thing I'm in fear of, like I'm seeing how I get to transform my old ways of not having faith in myself or trusting myself or belief in myself. It has to be transformed because Sagittarius squares my sun. All of this is technical stuff. What I'm trying to say is it's going to be different for everyone. It doesn't have to be hard. It could be a lesson in like, you know, doing something off the cuff and doing something adventurous. And, you know, it could be a lesson in just trusting yourself more, or it could be a lesson in learning something new today because Sagittarius is about philosophy, or going on a journey or taking a trip or plan. Like it could be something like that. And the other thing is that we're in a Saturn day. So Saturn in Pisces is about releasing shame, right? So are there places where you're holding shame? Are there places where you're playing small? Are there places where you are not giving yourself the attention that you desire because you have an expectation for someone else to do it or for someone else to bring to you what it is that you need to offer to yourself? Yeah, so I think that's really it. Another thing that is helpful, though, is to understand the herbs that you can use. You can work with lavender. Lavender is a great herb for Mercury. Skullcap. If your energy is running hot and you have anxiety, you can take skullcap to soothe yourself. Lemon balm is another great herb to help soothe you, to help soothe your nervous system, because Mercury rules the nervous system. Sometimes we get so anxious that we can't really think new thoughts. We get so anxious that we can't get out of old thought patterns. And so you have to do things to soothe yourself. So breathing, and then Sagittarius rules the hips, and the hips are, the hips are about balance and flexibility. So you can do exercises that support you. And all right, hold on. So I still have my pajamas, you all. So the hips. Sagittarius is about your hips, and you really just want to move them. You really just want to rotate them. And when you're rotating them, you can say mantras, I have faith in myself, I trust myself. Let me tell you guys something, though. I am in my 50s, and I have been exercising all my life. It's really interesting to see people need hip replacements. People need hip replacements when they're young. And a lot of that can be not just not taking care of yourself. It can be like karma, like family karma and things like that. But what's important to know is that by the time it shows up in the physical, it's because there's some internal emotional block. All of this stuff is emotional first. So when you do these exercises and you do your mantras, you're always reprogramming yourself. One of the things that I also like to do is sit like this in a squat, because this opens the hips up. And I sit like this because I've learned that people in other cultures, like Asian cultures and Indian cultures, they do this and it really does keep them balanced. And so I do this several times a day. I just come in and sit and bounce a bit just to get my hips open because I tend to have tight hips. So whatever is happening in our universe, in our own individual hologram, is anchored first inside of your body, in your own mind, in your own feelings, in the ways that you speak to yourself. Yes. And so, the cosmos is inside of your body. That's what you got to know. The cosmos is in your body. So whatever, the constellation of Sagittarius is in your body. Everyone has every constellation in them. And when you understand that you have all the constellations in you, of course you might identify with your sun sign more because that's where the more of the light is. But when we're having transits, like the moon is in Sag, and we're about to have a new moon in Sag, that's going to impact you and your own body. So the hips have to do with the pelvic area and your creative portal. So you want to do things that really support it. All right. Okay, you all. I hope that's helpful. My intention is to come in maybe every day and just give some information because I really want us to be able to use these retrogrades in a way that is how they're meant to be used. It's they're meant to be used in a way that allows you to flourish. And as the old world dies and the new one is born, you have an opportunity to transform yourself and to become more of who you're meant to be. And so my prayer is that you do that. And my prayer is that we understand ourselves so that we're not subject to outside forces, so that we're not subject to government legislation, so that we're not subject to what medical institutions that don't have. We can literally relate to our bodies, our minds, our spirits in a way that keeps us empowered, where we are not at the effect of external forces. But you have to take responsibility for yourself to do this. You have to want to take responsibility for it. You have to be curious about yourself and take responsibility. And when you do, your body will respond and your reality, the hologram that you are generating, will respond. When you take responsibility for yourself, it changes everything. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.